Hi everyone, Elvis here, your camera maker with yet another Kickstarter update regarding your ONDU Eikan 4x5 large format modular camera. The reason why it took so long for me to get in front of the camera and show you the progress, which has been quite substantial, albeit slow, is that we finally started assembling the icons. It was quite an interesting journey, to say the least. In all honesty, it was insanely difficult to get to this point. And I would like to give you a little bit of a background onto what has been going on since my previous update, which was around mid-March, end of March. I don't really remember anymore. When I spoke in the previous Kickstarter update was that the camera, the first 10 batch cameras, which means we started with the prototype camera, which worked well. I made some minor adjustments, and on that prototype we ordered 10 batches of complete assemblies of the cameras. This is called the zero batch, and this is done to kind of fine-tune the production process and take any guesswork out of the whole production and assembly process for the cameras. This worked really good, and the company that makes all of these aluminum pieces for the camera got the green light to assemble to cut 200 pieces of these cameras. There was a timeline that they agreed upon on which they would deliver, and the first step was they cut the raw material into sheets, upon which we take them to our workshop and do post-processing, which I'll show you in some video clips of us essentially drilling chamfers and tap holes and threads, stuff like that, which is necessary for holding the camera together. The step afterwards is to bring these prepared pieces back to the company that cut them, where they use a special CNC machine to cut, to bend these pieces at a right angle. 90-degree angles were specified, and specified radiuses and stuff like that. And so the first issue that occurred is that when they sent me the aluminum pieces, they were not exactly how the first zero batch came out. Like, the edges were not smooth. There was bleed over from the laser, where the laser penetrates the aluminum. This is going to go a bit more into the technical details for all the engineers out there, but essentially the cut-in parameters, where the laser cuts through and enters the actual pathway of the cutting, was set wrong by the operator, or maybe the aluminum that they used in the actual production was different. I don't know actually what happened, but these parts were needed much more handwork, like maintenance, cleaning by hand, these little tiny specks on the actual aluminum. And I complained to the company. I said, this is really not what I expected, because I expected to have finished pieces which are straight ready to go for anodizing. And it was a back and forth, this can't be done, like pushing, and they were like, yeah, we can do it, but it's going to take another 3 weeks. And I was pressed for time, so I said, okay, I'm going to back down. I'm gonna take these pieces, even if they're not the best, and we're gonna sort them all by hand and clean them and stuff like that. And this is okay. I took this into account. It's gonna take a bit longer. We're gonna make it how it has to be. But this was like a thing that was really unaccounted for in my timeline when I gave you the previous update. So we prepare all the pieces, we ship them back to the company, and then they ship them back to us. And even already immediately upon getting the pieces, I brought my digital calipers and my angle thingy to measure the pieces already in the company before I sign off the contract, and it's a done deal. And already there, the first few pieces I took, it was at the end of the shift, so they were kind of busy, like, let's get this out quickly. And I was like, okay, I'll take my time, gonna check a few pieces, and if I don't see they're good, we're gonna write under our contract that these pieces are probably not okay. And the guy delivering the stuff, he signed it off also, which was good for me, because this goes into a bit of a spiral right now. So I sign off that these pieces have to be checked before I approve them. And when I came back home, around 60%, some pieces even 100% pieces were faulty, which means the company cut the aluminum, we prepared it, and then we brought it back to them, and then they made a mistake, which means we're losing double the time. So the cutting and then our work, and like it just escalated into this really complicated kind of endeavor, because now I have some pieces are completely gone, some pieces have to be made from scratch, and then we have to figure out what went wrong, who made the mistake, how did the first 10 pieces come out completely perfect, and the 200 we have a lot of faulty components. And again, it was a lot of communication. This is a company that has maybe 100 people in there, so we had to find out who was the operator, what went wrong, was it the machine problem, was it the aluminum problem, was it like insane complicated things that kind of arose from all of this. But also it was a really interesting learning curve for me to understand that the mechanical, the engineers in companies are not fully to be trusted. And in the end I realized I might understand some things more in depth than they do regarding these type of processes. But when we got the pieces back, the finished pieces, we had to prepare them for anodizing. And in the prototypes and in the zero test batch, these pieces that came were already ready to go to anodizing. Anodizing is a process where they take aluminum, which is in its raw form kind of silvery shiny, and they dunk it in some chemical baths with electricity, and it kind of changes the surface structure of the aluminum, making it black or any other color. In our case, matte black. And because they cut, especially the 3mm pieces were very problematic, they had edges and burrs and stuff like that, we had to sand them by hand. And for that we had to call a company. We said, we have this issue, can you help us? Then we had to bring a guy in, explain the situation, and like buy machines, buy components just to get this first batch done. And this is something that shouldn't be our job at all, but because of time constraint and because we were pushed for, like, we want to deliver this as soon as possible, we had to take on this extra job. We fixed this, and then it went to the anodizing. But also, just to come back, I tried three different companies that in the end I decided to make parts with, and we tested different chemical baths for our components in order to achieve a certain look that I had in my mind. And finally I agreed upon one guy, and when it was crunch time to get these pieces to the anodizing, this guy stopped answering. This is the CEO of this company. It's a small company, maybe like 15 people working there, but this guy just stopped answering. And when he finally answered, he explained that his child was in intensive care because of some accident and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is getting like movie script style things happening to me right now. But in the end, the guy came back, and he did the anodizing in 2 days, which was insane. And it was just before May 1st, which is a national holiday in Slovenia. And one small step that I forgot to mention before we shipped the parts to the anodizing is because of these rough edges and burrs, we couldn't get all the edges clean with our tool, with the like flappy disc thingy. So we sent it off to another company, which was again not accounted for, not planned, and they threw all the pieces from the cameras into vibratory tumbling machine, which is essentially a huge tub with a certain type of granulate in it that they throw the aluminum in to take off the edges and kind of make a uniform shiny look, and after which they dump it into the chemicals and make a nice matte finish. So yeah, we got the pieces just before 1st of May, and we started assembling them, and this was the first thing that went super smooth, and the team did a really good job assembling these components. And here we have enough already for all the Kickstarter pre-orders and Kickstarter orders and all the pre-orders that have subsequently came after the Kickstarter in these months. And here I'll show you, for instance, the rear standard that we finished also quite recently, and they look really, really good. The joints between the aluminum and the wood are super sturdy, and all the chamfers that we pre-made before the bending were perfect. All the screws are super flush, and like there's nothing protruding. The camera just looks really good. Like I really had it in my mind how I want this when it comes in your hands, that you're just gonna be like, wow, this guy thought about it and made a really good project, really good product. So all of these components are ready, and essentially the next step is going to be taking these and then joining them with a bunch of screws and some spacers and stuff like that, and then just attaching the front standard, and this camera is almost ready to go. There's tiny bits and pieces that we have to assemble, but pretty much everything is here, and yeah, we're really close to the finish line. And to get to this point, me and my team, we've been working literally 12, sometimes 16 hours a day, me personally, to get this project going. But because I was working so hard, I could feel my mental capacity starting to dwindle, and I started making mistakes, and tasks which take usually, a few minutes would take literally sometimes half an hour or even an hour to complete. And it took me a lot of effort to kind of grasp my head around it, what's actually happening, that I'm starting to teeter on the verge of complete exhaustion just to try to get this product to finish, because I don't want to disappoint you, because this is my whole life. This is how I make a living for the past 10 years, is making these pinhole cameras, and because I wanted to bring something fresh to the market, I started envisioning the Eikan, which I also want to use. I really enjoy photography by myself. So, like I said, the team has been working a lot, and but I also started seeing them dropping in motivation and productivity, and the workshop started getting a mess. Even though I have all these boxes, everything is labeled and QR code and everything, people just started forgetting to put things in the right place, and it just became a really big mess essentially. And we started really slowing down in productivity and starting to make mistakes at the very finish line, which I thought, and I still think, it's not the best. So some of you might ask, why is it taking so long? Like, where's my camera? Why is it not there? You already had, your prototypes, your videos. It's been a year. Like, where is it? And the truth is that not just making these cameras, we had to rebuild this whole workshop, build the other workshop, buy machines and stuff like that. Like these things just really, unfortunately, take time. And another thing that I kind of took it upon me is I really redesigned this camera kind of from scratch. I saw that the prototype Eikan, the ones that you saw on the video, was already good to go. I had all the technical drawings and all the detail work ready to go into cutting, but there was something inside me that really didn't feel that this is cutting it. Like, I can do better. I can make a better product. I need to make a really solid impression to the people that backed me. Like, I'm getting goosebumps now just talking about it. But I really feel that you're gonna really appreciate the extra time that it's taking for me to get this to your step. And oh, I'm gonna cry. Allergies. Sorry about that. I got a bit emotional, really hearing myself talk about all the stuff that went down and all the really insanely hard work that kind of hit me by surprise, even though I was kind of expecting that it won't go really smooth, which in the end it's going pretty smooth. But yeah, I really want to emphasize that I really don't want to cut corners with this project. I want you to get a camera that, in my mind, has to outlast all of us. It's something that is so rare in this world, and I believe there is a need, a fundamental shift, even though I'm a really small company in the grand scheme of things, but making things that will last and are repairable is becoming a lost art. And I believe that all of you who are still sticking with me and believing in this, you're gonna appreciate all these details that kind of manifested themselves through this project. And 2 days ago I finished the first production run Eikan, and when I saw this camera come to life literally in front of my eyes and all the detail work that I did, I got such a big energy boost and confidence back in my abilities that this is going to be something that's going to be like up there with the best. And this is my totem now. It's the first Eikan, like fully spec'd out, all the details, everything that you're gonna have in your final camera. And let's continue this video somewhere outside, because I'm been in this workshop for such a long time that I think a change of scenery is quite necessary. So let's continue. So we changed the scenery, we left the shop finally and ventured out into the outdoors. So let's unfold the Eikan. It's pretty straightforward as before. We release these two knobs and lift up the back standard. And there's two notches that kind of help the camera reach a 90-degree angle. So when it's locked, the camera automatically lifts to 90. If we move these tabs down, we can go even backwards another extra 20 degrees, which is going to be useful when we're using shorter focal length lenses, which have a wider angle of view, so that we essentially move the bed out of the frame. So let's do this again. Let's lock it and raise it to the 90-degree angle, which sets the rear standard at a 0. And then we loosen these front two knobs and we bring the whole assembly forward. And there's another two set of notches that we lock and we put the camera at 0. This can be done by feeling. Once you get the Eikan and you're gonna kind of get a feel for it, you're gonna just do it automatically. You don't have to kind of like look where you're at. Since I know I'm gonna be using a 180 mil lens, I'm gonna move it a little bit back and let's put on one lens. So like I said, yeah, it's a 5x6 180. So we remove this, and this is one like feature, one position that I like to look how I load the lens, so it's not all doing by feeling. And then also another detail on the camera is when you want to set this level, there's two notches that I engraved that I had laser cut. So when we're moving the camera back and forth and we're doing swings or tilts or whatever, to reposition it back at the 0, you can just kind of feel these indexing tabs and you're gonna get pretty much straight to 0. Another thing that's new is there's engraving lines on the standard. So this you have to visually check. Okay, this is flat, parallel to the film plane, and then you lock it and now you're ready to go. So like I said, these a lot of these components have been sandblasted, so they have like a really nice tactile feel, and they're also kind of fingerprint resistant, like they don't catch fingerprints as easily. So this is the front of the camera, and now I'd like to show you a little bit of the back. And in the Kickstarter video, this back was kind of not thorough in its design. Like it had some kind of fidgeting features that I really didn't like through me using the camera in the past year, and I wanted to really polish it and also make the back kind of future-proof. Like we're gonna eventually add upgrades like 120 film backs and stuff like that, and this can be easily done by swapping the back because it's magnetically held in place. Another thing that I changed is this ground glass protector. It's now made out of anodized aluminum, and before it was 3D printed, and I really didn't want to go that route. I wanted something that is sturdy. Like, we want this ground glass to be safe, and also kind of clean up the back. So there's a relief retaining tab, which we move slightly, and now we can remove this ground glass protector and leave it in our bag for now. And this is the new Fresnel screen and the ground glass. And to load a sheet of film, we just simply move this tab, which creates a recess, and it also prevents any unnecessary movements of the camera. Like some cameras don't have this, and you have to manually force this, pry this open, and it creates unnecessary shakes and stuff like that. That's just my opinion. So you want to load a sheet of film, you just snap it in, move this, and this is now thoroughly locked in place. It won't go anywhere. You take your exposure, and when you're done, you again lift, and it creates a tiny little release in here, and now you can remove the back easily as well. So another thing that I didn't like in the previous version was how the Graph-Lock compatible stuff was mounted on the camera. Before, there was two little notches on the side, and they always kind of interfered with the springs that are holding the back, the ground glass to the back. And I found that when I was shooting outside, like in winter, and my fingers were frozen, I couldn't really do these kind of fine tasks. And also it was just awkward to do it. So I wanted to make something more easily mountable and removable. So I've included these locking tabs, which I will show by removing the ground glass first. So we remove the ground glass by just lifting these tabs a tiny bit, and this comes out. So it's really simple as that. So this is the Lomo Graph-Lock by Lomography, which enables you to use instant wide film on an Eikan or any other large format camera for that matter. And it has these notches, which are pretty much standard on all Lomo, on all Graph-Lock compatible items. And you just kind of put it on the camera and lock it with these two notches. And this is now held in place. And to remove it, we do reverse, and we're ready to go. And when we're done with this and we want to continue back shooting with 4x5 inches film, we take our ground glass holder and just slide it into place like that, and we're ready to go. That's pretty much it. And details that have been changed is these angle brackets, which hold the rear stander to the whole assembly, have been kind of redesigned to make it more strong. So this connection to the camera, which used to be quite, in my opinion, weak, is now much stronger. It has 6 connection points on both on top and on the bottom to make this rear stander really solid. And if we measure all the pieces of aluminum that are holding this bracket together, it's a total of 8 millimeters of aluminum. So this camera is, for its weight, it's really sturdy. What else did we change? The focusing mechanism used to have wooden anti-backlash nuts. Now they're all made out of brass. And these threads, trapezoidal threads, they were custom manufactured to my specifications. And one thing that I also, for instance, noticed in my prototype Eikan was that all the black screws, which had a black oxide coating, they would rust, for instance, in environments close to the sea. The salt spray and stuff like that, eventually all the screws in the camera started to corrode. So one of my very big issues was to find black stainless steel screws which will not rust, obviously. So all the screws in the camera that you see, they were custom made to my specifications. I couldn't just go to a hardware store and say, I would like black stainless steel screws. They had to be made from scratch according to my specifications and the coatings and stuff like that. The same goes with the linear rails. Linear rails were custom cut. I couldn't just go and buy linear rails and just put them on. They had to be custom made and then pre-drilled at specific locations. And then they do a thing called annealing, where they harden the steel. So this anodized, these linear rails, they have on HRC, I think around 55, if I'm not mistaken. So they're like really strong, and again, rust proof. So they should last a very, very long time. I mean, forever, like just doesn't rust. So yeah, that's it. The shape of the camera, which I probably mentioned in some previous videos, enables this structure, because of its bend, to be very, very, very sturdy for its weight. This is like, I really wanted this to be the main feature of the camera. And also because I have this relief and all this empty space, this enabled me to make this camera modular. So include the range version, or the 4x10 version, or future I'm probably gonna build a 6x17 version. And these are all gonna be interchangeable, just like I showed you in the Kickstarter video. One detail that was not on the Kickstarter video, I used to have round leveling bulbs on the back and on the front of the camera. And when I was using that, in perfect orientation, flat orientation, these circular level bulbs, they made sense. But for anything other, any skew, any mismatch with a perfect horizon, they just didn't function. So I wanted to include an extra leveling bulb here. And just this tiny little detail required me to create a completely new setup on the CNC machine to just have this routed, because all the other pieces are made by hand. This little tiny notch was like a full 2 days worth of prepping just to get this tiny little detail in, but I really wanted it to make it seamless, no screws, and just like make it flush with the camera. So this is new. And also on the actual back, we now have two leveling bulbs for both the horizontal and the vertical compositions. So that's pretty much it. If we want to swap orientations from horizontal to vertical, we just remove the back, we snap it back in place, and the thing is done. So it's really, really, really sturdy. The magnets have a holding force about 2.5 kilos, something like that on the specifications. And this is more than enough to hold it securely. It will never fall off out of place. Yeah, like before, all the walnuts, features, all the details, everything has been oiled with hard wax oil, which is designed for hardwood flooring. So it's pretty tough. It binds chemically to the actual wood. And we've been using this coating on pinhole cameras for the past like 6-7 years. It does its job good. I think these are some of the features that you haven't seen. Also, if you look at the front, actually at the back of the camera in the Kickstarter videos, this rear standard was a bit higher, and it kind of floated weirdly in the whole camera. So I had to kind of mirror everything and change and enable also these connection points to be sturdier on the camera. This was a headache in itself. And I think I managed to make it really nice, and also incorporate these angles that I have everywhere kind of in the whole story of the camera. So we've been outside for way too long now, and it's time for me to get back into the workshop, because maybe you can hear my voice getting a bit raspy. It's because hay fever is setting full force in Slovenia, and I have to go indoors, otherwise I'm gonna lose it. And we're gonna wrap this video back in the shop. So you just saw the Eikan in its full glory outside in the nature doing its thing. And I was wondering, okay, you did a good job, very nice camera, but I really want it. When am I getting it? And as you can see, the camera is like, we have all the stuff. It just needs to fit together and we're ready to go. But we all really also just need to take a break. I suffer a lot from these allergies, the hay fever and stuff like that. I'm severely medicated. So usually I have to, by default, even when I'm not building cameras, I leave my country for some time to escape it, because otherwise, if I take all the medication and all that stuff, I'm really drowsy and I'm really not focused how it should be. On top of it, the team is completely tired, and we have to respect that and give them a break. As much as I want us to push through this and just like get it to the finish line, I also want us to take a step back and get a little breather, just to kind of respect to the point that we have come. If we just go just assemble everything together and just go full on crazy, I think it really is not the right way to go right now. And it's really hard for me to even say this. Like one part of me is just like, no, you can't just do everything in your power to just get this out. And I understand some people are going to be really upset as I might have been in some previous Kickstarters that I've backed and some pre-order stuff. But I think another few weeks compared to a lifetime of a really good product is something that is really, like, if you put it on a scale, and the well-being of me and my crew and my family and everybody, I think it's something that we have to kind of respect, the humanity of this company. We're not a huge team. It's just a bunch of us here, and we're doing really our best. Nobody is slacking off. We're not cutting corners. We really want to make you a camera that's gonna just be there, and you're gonna be like, this is it, nothing's wrong, functions as it should. And my idea and my wish is that we go at least for 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, I don't know, and just get away from the workshop, come back fresh with a clear mind, reorganize everything, label everything again as it was intended from scratch, and finish these cameras and deliver them to your doorstep. So I'm believing in my abilities, and that in the first 2 weeks of July, we're going to start shipping the first cameras to you. I think this is a really, really reasonable assumption that I have based on the knowledge and all the stuff that I'm seeing happening around me. Some team members, they expressed that they're not super mega tired, so they will come periodically in the workshop and tend to the 3D printers and stuff like that. They can do like small sub-assemblies for the ground glass back and stuff like that. So it won't be completely chilled down, but it won't be full force as it was now for the last few months in the workshop. I also understand that people who are on pre-orders, I thank you for all of those who are still sticking with me, and a lot of people expressed that they want to take their Eikan to a vacation, or they had a project in mind or stuff like that, and I'm gonna fully understand if you back off from this. Like, this is out of my control, but I would really ask you to be patient with me. If you can, if it's in your ability. If you cannot, it's like, thank you again. I'm thankful that you even thought about and gave me a chance. And you might come back as somebody who might be interested in the future. I don't know. But I want to leave this on a happy note. Like, even though we are late and stuff is behind and stuff like that, I really, really know that this is gonna be a solid camera. Something that you can take with you everywhere, and it's just gonna bring you so much joy. Also to people around you. I know it's just a camera, I know, but I feel that it has some magic in it that I kind of envisioned when I started building this. Like, I really want to make a product like they used to make in the old times, when they were not just functional, technical things, but like there is some feeling to it. There is some humanity in the actual thing. It's weird. I'm talking about it like it's a child or something like that, but I really feel it's going to be a good camera. So thank you all for sticking by me through all this time, and I'm going to take a short break. Maybe also from social media and all of these things, just to get some energy, get some power back, get some new perspective. And I'm going to be taking the Eikan with me to do like a final pre-shipping test run to see if everything is working as it should, which I think it will pass with flying colors. So yeah. I'll see you soon, and thank you for your support. And like, literally, there's some of you out there that have been with me for the past 12 years since the Mark I pinhole cameras, and now you're buying the Eikan, which is just like it's unbelievable to have people like you in my life, even though most of you I haven't really ever met in real life, but just online. But I'm really, really thankful for all of you. Have a wonderful ending of the spring, beginning of the summer.